Hello and welcome to the One People Show.
Hello and welcome everyone to this week's One People Roundtable show. I still have to think about that one, I gotta say.
We did not, because we need to rename the show, that's why.
Sorry we didn't do anything last week. I still don't have internet on. I'm still tethering on my phone. It should be all sorted within 48 hours from today, from as I speak.
Everyone?
Everyone? Well, yeah, fingers crossed. That's why. And Dee was also moving that day, so it was just all crazy. And not too sure about time zones, about time slots from here on in, because Dee mucked up this week in terms of days.
It was totally my muck up, guys. I'm so sorry, everyone. Being in Australia for 5 months, doing the show Tuesday morning, and then me coming back to Europe. So we did it like Tuesday night Australia, which was like Tuesday afternoon Europe. So when we went back to the flip where I'm at night and Lisa's in the morning, I just automatically made it Tuesday without even thinking. And I was just like, oh, wait. And then someone said to me, when are you going to go back to Mondays? And I was like, oh, shit. Oh, I fucked everything up. So next week we'll be back on Mondays again.
We'll be back Monday night for the States, Tuesday for
Tuesday morning time.
But in terms of time slot, not too sure. Because, of course, we've also got to deal with the fact that she's about to go out of daylight savings time. We'll go into daylight savings time. And then, you know.
Well, that's not till like October. That's end of or November, I think. I think it's November that Europe does the time zone flip. And then you and I will be...
Actually, it's only about 2 weeks apart between you going off and us going on, or vice versa.
Yeah, and then so sometime in November, the whole schedule is going to get all fucky again because no one's going to know what the hell fucking time it is. What time is it, Mr. Wolf? Yeah, it's going to be... I hate daylight savings time. I detest it.
I love it, but anyway, we won't go there.
No, I hate it.
But not only did we not do a show last week, I have not been online very much at all. So I have not kept up with the stories, with the news, with much of anything. And I know Dee's got a bunch of things she's gathered to talk about today, so it's all going to be a surprise for me. And we haven't had a chance to talk.
No. Well, so, like one quick, literally, chat on Zoom where then we talked and then Lisa went, and that was it. It was over. So, you know, this has been a crazy week. And the problem of it is like so much has happened in the last week that I've actually forgotten the shit that happened earlier on this week that I wanted to talk about on the show. And the shit from last week that I wanted to talk on last week's show that didn't happen, I've definitely forgotten about. So it's like,
that's what that room is for.
I know. I see I was good girl. I put all the links in there today. Lisa and I have a Skype room where we drop all the shit in for the One People show, if we remember. I remember, truth be told. So first, the first thing I want to go here first because there's been a whole bunch of videos been posted in the last, well, for the last 6 months, but it seems like in the last week there's been a bunch posted about the magnetic pole shift. So there's several guys on YouTube who are following this really, really closely. And it's kind of interesting because I've watched a couple of, because I have internet. I have real internet, so I can watch videos again. Oh, it's so delightful. I just like randomly go, I can watch this video because I have internet. Anyways, watched a couple of the videos, and the thing that struck me and I've talked about this before, is that you have all these great people who are doing their research projects, who have got their piece they really, really follow. So whether it's like the magnetic pole shift stuff. And what gets me though is the fact that there's a lot of people who they're so tightly compartmentalized that they're not looking beyond it. So for example, I watched 3 different videos about the magnetic pole shift. So they're talking about magnetic North Pole is like meandering over towards Siberia now. And they're talking about things like the mass die-offs of different animals, the birds, the fish, etc. But no one is putting it together with like they're all looking down, but no one's looking up. So no one's talking about, they're talking about magnetic pole shift, but they're not looking at things, for example, of the shifts that we've seen in the sky. All the stars all randomly moving into new places, and the moon kind of meandering all over the place.
So apparently NASA has updated all the astrology signs for the first time in 2,000 years or something?
Yeah, because I know NASA is so big into astrology. I mean, so big into it. I'm just like, literally, what? NASA, astrology? But again, it's never mind what they're saying because it's all fucking bullshit, right? It's the fact that NASA's the one presenting changes in astrology signs.
Well, it boils down to the fact that the stars have moved, right?
Exactly. But their whole thing is like, well, with axis wobble for the last 2,000 years, therefore it means, I'm like, right. It's because, no one's noticed that the stars, it took them 2,000 years to update, the stars have moved to include a whole new star sign? Or is it...
But it's not a new star sign, it's an ancient star sign they took out.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? Like the way they bring it forward, their whole excuse on it, like 2,000 years of the Earth's wobble, all of a sudden we've decided we have to update it. Kind of like how they all of a sudden had to update all the GPS and resynchronize the prime meridian and redecide where all the longitude and latitude lines suddenly are. Suddenly. And so that was the first one. That article by NASA was just like, really? That's so fucking funny. But there was another article, and give me a second. I'm going to have to try and pull it up here. I got it open, I think. Okay, so here was another thing. Now I'm going to pull up the article here. I'll put it into, I'll do a screen share so you guys can see this, because this was another article that came out within the same thing in the last 2-week period. Bear with me. Okay, so again, NASA, a strange thing happened in the stratosphere. And they're basically talking about there's the quasi-biennial oscillation in the stratosphere. And that,
are they making terms up again, or has that one been around for a while?
That one has been around for a while. Apparently, I mean, I found lots of older articles on it, but it's, let's just say, it's not commonly used. It's not a commonly used one. Let me move you and I out of the way. There we go. So basically in the stratosphere, you're talking about the east and west jet streams. And the long and short of it, and this is me really, really condensing this down, is for 2 years, you have an eastern jet stream that runs through the stratosphere. And as it goes, it starts to drop down. And as it lowers down, it gets to a lower point. 2 years later, within 2 years, the western Gulf Stream takes over. So basically it runs on a 2-year cycle, east to west, west to east. Except something happened in 2013 and it didn't do that. It just suddenly, the stratosphere jet streams just suddenly changed. And I love because I mean, at least they're somewhat honest and say, we've only actually been measuring this since 1953. So they're at least straight up in the fact of like, okay, so our data only goes back 60 years or so. But here's the thing. Now I'm going to pull this down. And of course, they get into the whole El Nino stuff, which is all a crock of shit. So the pattern repeats every 28 months. In the 1960s, scientists coined it the quasi-biennial oscillation, a record of these measurements made by weather balloons released in the tropics at various points around the globe dates to 1953. The pattern never changed until late 2015. As the year came to a close, the winds from the west neared the end of their typical descent. The regular pattern held that the weaker easterly winds would soon replace them. But then the westerlies appeared to move upwards and block the downward movement of the easterlies. This new pattern held for nearly half a year. And by July 2016, the old regime started up again. So for 6 months, everything was on hold. It was the easterly stream just kept going.
So the first half of this year?
For the first, yeah, it wasn't too, sorry, I thought it was 2013, 2015, until July of 2016. So late 2015 until July of 2016, everything just froze. The pattern just kept repeating, and it blocked the other air that was supposed to have started rising up. And I just sit there and go, and of course this, and then they go into like, this is, ozone depletion and global warming, because seriously. But it was interesting, again, articles talking about excuses, NASA excuses for things that would lead one to believe that perhaps we're not in Kansas anymore.
Well, didn't we? Because we also had the jet streams crossover.
All the jet streams changed. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. All the jet streams completely changed, and they dropped across the equator. And this was another huge, huge thing. And we got some ridiculous, global warming response from, the agencies. So it just, for me, I'm looking at stuff, and I'm looking at, like I said, the guy's talking about the magnetic pole shift. And then you've got other people who are looking at the skies. And then you have other people looking at mass die-offs. And I just wish we could create a big room and get them all together and say, okay, can you guys, you take this information now, bring it here, and then you bring yours in. Now, can we start looking at it as a whole?
Yeah.
That's what's needed right now is to start panning back, and start actually looking at the whole picture.
Well, that's what compartmentalization is for, is so you don't see the big picture.
Yeah, exactly. But and I get it, because this is the whole thing, right? Like we talked about on a couple shows ago about how everyone has their little niche, and you may have that one thing that you deeply, hugely research, and you got every last bit of information on. And thank goodness we have those people, right? Because they're the ones who give us the updates. So I don't have to do 20 hours worth of research. I can watch a 15-minute video and get the Coles Notes version of it, and then I'm set to go. But when they stay compartmentalized and the pieces aren't brought together, so... Yeah, but
there's different ways. You need those people to go fine-tune, blinkered, and dig deep. And then you need that next layer of people who can oversee all of that and bring all those pieces together.
Yeah.
And then,
and disseminate.
I can't do that.
Yeah. Well, crazy stuff. We had in the last 2 weeks, there was 300 reindeer dropped dead in Norway from a lightning strike.
Saw that. That was another one. It happened again.
Well, then there was 20 cows in Texas. 20 cows in Texas, like the next week or a few days after the thing in Norway. And again, they're calling it a lightning strike.
But I heard some of those deer were decapitated.
Okay, well, so this is my thing. That's why the brain is a highly sensitive instrument, right? And it can show a lot of things. So were they decapitated by the scientist who went in there and was like, we got to study what the fuck happened? Cut off the heads, analyze the brains to see did an electrical charge. Going to the extreme pessimistic, was it an attack? Was it a test of a weapon? In which case, same thing, they cut off the heads because they need to do the analysis to see how it affected the nervous system or how it affected certain things.
Not the heads actually explode.
Or did their heads just explode? And you can, if it was a massive, and this goes back to that theory that Nick and I keep talking about the Earth doing massive electrical discharges, ground lightning, discharges that are because of the shifting of the magnetic. As the magnetic poles are shifting, the electrical field on the planet, which is perpendicular, is going to have an effect too. It's got to be affected in the same ways that the magnetic is. So are we looking at massive discharges? And it's just, we've seen more pictures of ground lightning in the last 6 months than I've ever seen in my entire life. And spectacular ground lightning.
Yeah.
It's all very interesting. It's all very interesting. Yeah.
So do you have a hypothesis at this point about what all this, if you pull all this information, what it's saying?
Basically, it's the same, for me, it's the same hypothesis of that the planet has shifted. That the planet itself, let alone the geomagnetic poles, that the planet itself has shifted, hence the fact of everything that's different in the sky, hence the fact of all of a sudden NASA is scrambling around trying to explain, a new planet that's just appeared and a new moon that's just appeared, and give me a break.
Well, I remember and I've talked about this before, back in 2013, at the end of 2013, it was because we were on the Open Tour at the time, that there was a lot of people who read the energetics, so to speak, or were having dreams, or most of it, there wasn't anything coming out from a scientific perspective publicly. It was more energetics, but the number of people who were saying, we're not in the same place anymore. We are moved, or we are in the process of moving. And it went on for about 3 weeks, and then everyone, without communicating with each other, went, oh, we just popped out the other end.
Yeah.
And the other thing that people were noticing is the sky, and you and I have talked about this too, when you were here, about how the clouds look and feel. Like, it feels like the sky itself has just, I don't know, when the hologram is not where it used to be, and the projection's closer, or what the hell's happening, but this whole feeling like the whole roof on this place has just dropped.
It has been amazing. Okay, so where I am in Gozo right now, we're on the top of a hill, and we're right on the coast. So you've got, not so much from our apartment, but like Moosh's apartment, which is like 3 apartments over, you've got a really good view where you can kind of, between the front and the back balcony, you can see over the water, and you can see the hills behind. So you have a pretty broad expanse of sky that you can see. And the clouds are low. And even when here, we just finished August, where there's no rain. In Malta, from like June to September, there's not a lick of rain that happens. And you barely have a day where you have a cloud in the sky. Although there's been really strange cloud formations. Now, we got hit really heavily for the last 2 days with chemtrails for the first time since I've been here. Literally looking at the sky going, oh crap, there goes another one. And Nick took a couple of pictures. I wanted to get them uploaded, and of course I've forgotten until I just started talking about it right now. Damn. Perfect, the crisscrosses in the sky. And then today, it was the morning, heavy overcast, but that hazy layers. But underneath the haze were these big, voluminous clouds. And they're massive, but they're so low, you literally feel like they're maybe 100 feet above your head. That's it.
So does it look like the layer of chemtrails that is like pushing all the clouds down?
It just no, it's like, do you remember, I can remember talking in 2013 about chemtrails on one of the shows, and I was talking about, the planes, for example, flying through the clouds. And how many air flights have you been on where you're flying through the clouds? I've been on some flights where they're spectacular, where you're really flying through these big fluffy clouds, and it's amazing. You're seeing the planes go overhead because the European crossover is like literally right over our head. So the planes are just all the time, but they're so high. The clouds are all below them. And I mean, way below them. So when these chemtrail planes go by, it's really high up aerial spraying, but all the clouds are like underneath. And now, are they doing it deliberately? If you want to go into the whole like official, they're doing it to try and cause rain. There's been a real rain shortage here in Malta, just like there was in Morocco. They had hardly any rain last winter. The farmers, again, are saying this year there's not going to be enough rain again this year. So are they trying to seed clouds and try and lock them in to make it rain, as an official excuse? I don't know. But yeah, the clouds look just strange. The sky looks short. Does that make sense?
It's vertically challenged.
The sky is suddenly vertically challenged because we're so PC on this show. Oh, you're making me laugh. Thanks, Lisa. That's funny.
Well, this kind of relates. I got onto Facebook. I've only been getting onto Facebook and just leaving my messages open. I just simply because I can't afford the constant streaming of Facebook. There was one notification that made me go and have a look at a thread, and it is my favourite thread in the UU for ages. And it relates to this. And oh God, if I could bring it up. Actually, can you bring it up?
Tell me.
Don't share the screen or anything.
No, I won't do that. I've already been in trouble for doing that months ago. I won't do that. Which thread? The one by Claire?
I sent you a link to it. I sent you a link to it in the Skype room.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. That's been the conversation that Claire started.
The three Earths.
Yep.
Yes. And the comments and the conversation that follows is just phenomenal. I loved it. Common theme, common thread through the comments is how people's relationship to their surroundings, to the environment, to the planet, to nature, to the sky, the stars, the moon, the sun, it's all changed. And
yeah.
I mean, for as long as I can remember, I've had that feeling that I just got off on the wrong stop, right? That's been my feeling since I was a kid. That someone pushed me off the bus at the wrong stop, right? But, through sun gazing, through my connection to the ocean and to the beach, I've needed to go into the water, and there has been, through meditation, through all these sort of things, there's been a connection that I have felt with a consciousness that I would call the consciousness of the planet, with a relationship with the sun, all of that stuff. And yet it's changed. I don't even know how to explain it anymore, but this just does not feel real. It doesn't feel real anymore. It feels like a program or a simulation.
A simulation?
It feels like a really bad photocopy of what should be, or a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy.
It's funny you said that. This evening, I went out on the balcony, and the sun sets off the back balcony, and I looked up and it was like heavy clouds. So the sun was kind of just before it hit, I went under the hill, and it was just starting to peek down, and I was kind of glad that I was like, oh, it's the perfect time of day to do sun gazing. And I was just like, no, I don't want to.
Well, I haven't since I got back to Australia. I've done it 3 times.
No draw. I have no draw to want to do it. And I mean, I always sun gaze with, anytime I was up, or either dawn or dusk, I would do it all the time. None. No.
Yeah, you don't. I've seen pictures where it looks like there's 3 or 4 different spots with it. It looks like sunrises. The glow in the sky just as the sun's about to break. There's been 3 or 4 of them. And then it'll go down to 2 of them will disappear, and then eventually 1 will pop up, or you see 2 actually break. And then did you see the ones where it looked like dawn? The sun broke and then went back.
Yep.
And then they came back up again half an hour later.
Yep. That was
what I'm looking at.
was the automatic camera filming the sunrise off of just near Brisbane. And I went through and I looked and I went through. Basically, I think the feed only stores 10 days worth of photos, or 10 days worth of film, or 7 days. And I went through every one, and every single one of them, you saw it get lighter, 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 and then it went dark. And then about 10 minutes later, it started getting light again. And people will talk, well, maybe it's just the camera. It just doesn't get used to the color. I'm like, no. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. We've seen it. When it's like the sun's coming up, and then all of a sudden you go inside and you come back out with your cup of coffee and go, why is it dark again? I swear it wasn't the sun coming up. And what gets me is what I call the reverse sunset, because I mean, it's very rare that I'm seeing dawn these days. But I see sunset all the time. How many times I've watched the sunset is directly behind, and I'll be at the front, and the sky back there is lit up, and the sky up front on the horizon, not above, on the horizon is bright pinks and oranges. It's like there's a double sunset on opposite sides. I saw it in Morocco. The last year that we were in Morocco, I said to you twice, I said several times where I saw the sun rising or sun setting over Ceuta, which was east from where we were. And you see, look, there's a sunset here, but look, the sun's also setting over there. Yeah. It's all fucked up, David. That's all I have to say. It's all just fucked up.
So, we may not be in the same part of the universe that we used to be. If, in fact, the universe even resembles anything like we've been told it has, is...
One of the things okay, go ahead.
I'm more inclined to feel like everything that we conceive of, all the stars, the sun, everything that we conceive of is actually inside this construct. It's not, there is nothing outside of it. We can't get outside of it. There is no NASA camera outside. There is none of that shit. And that everything that we perceive and conceive is within, whatever this thing is. And
there's
it's just what the sun reflector that NASA patented.
in Washington long patented, yeah, exactly.
It's a complete.
Well, here's the thing. So the one thing I'm kind of sort of re-looking at right now is the theory, and do not confuse with what I'm about to say with Nibiru, because I don't follow the Sitchin stuff for love nor money. It's all, as far as I'm concerned, it just doesn't resonate.
What does it? Sorry, I was reading the chat room.
The Nibiru, Sitchin stuff and all that, okay? But Nick and I had another big sit-down conversation about magnetics after watching one of the magnetic pole videos. Magnets are affected by magnets. The bigger the magnet, the more powerful magnet makes everything aligned to it. So, i.e., by accepted theoretical science, the sun is the most powerful magnet in our solar system. Therefore, the magnetics of all planets, everything, aligns to the sun. What if another magnetic field is coming into play that is stronger than the sun? Therefore, the magnetics are going to start to wobble. And like one of the things that I said,
or
go.
The magnetics of the sun are depleting.
You can't just, no, I'm sorry, I disagree with that theory.
hang on. You can disagree, but hang on.
Yeah.
There were some photos that came out of one of the Seshi cameras that showed just in the last week or two. It looked like the sun had literally been turned off.
What the hell was that? Speaking of which, I should put my Skype on Do Not Disturb.
I think I did the data that I added on to do the show. So this is costing me a fortune, by the way.
I know because I was there for the last month, so I totally hear you on this.
Okay, you say you don't agree, but why can't the sun, if it's an electromagnetic, why can't it be fucked with? Why can't the
You can be fucked with, but it can't. I cannot. It sounds like your egg timer's telling you, go turn off your eggs.
I'm going to disappear anytime soon, and then I don't know how long it'll take me to get back on. I have to recharge.
Okay. Yeah, no, as the sun is, if it's a transformer, yes, someone just said about the sun, if it's a transformer, yes. And that's another theory. That is another completely different theory. And in which case, yes, it absolutely could. I'm going on the basis of the magnetic field of the sun could not be depleted per se by any technology we know of, right? Now, the interesting thing Nick brought up, what was the big thing when they were talking about CERN? And I can't remember exactly what it was about CERN. It was about 6-7 years ago. The magnetics that are used in CERN, the magnets, which have to be hyper-cooled to absolute zero, are 100 times stronger than the sun. And
Is this a D-wave thing?
Well, no, that's CERN. That's CERN's own admission about CERN, not the D-wave. That plays into another whole aspect of it, right? I mean, that's another whole piece to that puzzle that we've looked into. But the fact that the magnets are so powerful that they're 100 or it may have even been 100,000 times more powerful than the magnetic pull of the sun, like that makes me go like instantly the little thing back here goes, whoa, wait a second. Whoa, wait a second. Like my little itchy bump goes, no, that's not right. So many questions.
But the magnet has poles, right?
Sorry, say again.
The magnet has poles.
Yeah, exactly.
So even based on the conventional science, which I don't think is anywhere accurate,
no.
But even based on that, if the sun were to move, or those poles were to move, the magnetic poles, that would shift everything. That would shift everything too.
Exactly. So in 2014, it was around August, September, and I've talked about this on the show, and I've never been able to find the link again. Around August of 2014, NASA announced that the poles on the sun had flipped. And at that time was when I was really, really heavily into tracking the sun stuff. And I immediately went, what? And I went and I tracked it back that yes, it absolutely had come from NASA. It was not like, an alternative media, someone mistaking something that was said. No. This came from a NASA scientist that the sun's poles had, and it went absolutely silent. I can't even find it.
Okay, I want to get this question to you before I drop off, because is it possible for a permanent magnet to lose its magnetism via heat, via a demagnetizing magnetic field, via shock?
Now this is the whole thing, because now we have the argument of what you just said. Acceptable science, mainstream science, versus new thoughts, new scientific information coming out that's on the edge, cutting edge. You can shock a magnet. You can drop a magnet and you can shock it. You can demagnetize a simple magnet, a field magnet, like a piece of iron that's been magnetized, that has been magnetized. But can you and that's the question. I wish Nick hadn't gone to bed. Damn it. Can you demagnetize? For example, the rare earth magnets that are like hyper powerful. Can you demagnetize something like that through heat or shock? I don't know. Because that's the thing. There's a vast difference between a magnetic field that is a naturally occurring, naturally occurring, however you want to define that, and as it pertains to our sun, magnetic field, versus a created magnet. Like something that has been magnetized to become a magnet. Then again, that could be what they've done to it. Is that what the sun is? Is it a created magnet? We don't know. Like there's so many aspects, so many questions that it opens up. Whether the sun is a transformer. Dollard, that was one of his big theories, is that the sun is a massive transformer. In which case, how does the magnetized poles deal with that? Yeah, and okay, exactly. Stargate. Is it a Stargate? Well, how about that? NASA or someone from one of the official agencies made a claim just recently talking about, I gotta try and see if I can get this right, black holes, and the theory that they were putting out was that the sun stars are the backside of a black hole, i.e. a wormhole, i.e. we sit there and went, duh, how many times have we seen on these videos ships going in and out and things going in and out of the sun? In that case, you basically take everything that NASA tells you, crumple it up in a little ball and throw it away, because now it makes now you're talking about something so completely off the beaten path that how do you even theorize?
Okay, you mentioned Sitchin earlier and this whole Nibiru thing, right?
Yeah. Because I think it's something we need to talk about. Well,
okay, puzzle me this, right? Because I've been questioning this whole aliens, ETs thing for a couple of years now. Especially once the flat earth stuff hit and the questions that started coming out of that, and the possibilities for what this thing really might look like, right? Apparently, right throughout history, right throughout the world, we have got stories about aliens, ETs, people from out there somewhere coming here and in some way, shape or form messing with our genetics.
Yep.
Whether they're abducting people, whether they're mating with them, whether they're taking samples, whatever they're doing. Inbreeding, all that sort of thing. We're talking about these species, these races, who apparently have got such technology that they can travel interdimensionally, interstellar, into whatever, but they need our DNA. They don't have the science, they don't have the technology. We almost do. We're messing with our DNA. We're already at the point where we're manipulating shit and crossbreeding and doing all kinds of things. And yet these races that have got this sort of extraordinary technology can't sort their shit out, their genetic shit out. That doesn't make sense. That's a big question mark for me. What if, and I don't, me and my bloody what ifs. Like I said earlier about everything that we perceive, and we've said this before, or I have anyway, ages ago, that everything we perceive of, including these bloody reptilians and everything else, are actually our creation, offshoots of us. All of it's. There was that video that I shared a few weeks back that then got removed from YouTube as soon as I shared it. It's been found again. The one that's a documentary where the scientists are actually questioning the whole Copernican model and saying that all the evidence shows that, yes, in fact, we are at the centre of everything.
Yeah.
the ideas that are coming out of the flat Earth, in that this is either a much larger ball than we've been told, or it is actually an infinite plane, and there's just these little pockets and puddles everywhere.
Petri dishes.
Petri dishes all over it, and that all these so-called ETs are just literally our neighbours in the next puddle. The feeling that all of this is contained within a construct, I can't buy this Citron stuff. I can't buy this Nibiru stuff. I can't buy this. Yeah. There's something inherently fucking fishy about all of it. And
okay, so here's my thing. And this is, we talk about prophecy. We talk about all the kind of big prophecies that have been made, whether they're biblical or, these various prophets throughout time. And even in the biblical stuff, people always kind of joked about the fact it's very easy to write a prophecy if you know how you're going to make the outcome anyway, right? You will write this.
If it's actually your own plan.
Because that's what the plan is. So we know how it's going to play out, because we're going to make it play out this way. But if there's things happening, let's play the what if game, hypothesis. There's something going on, and let's just pretend in this hypothesis that we actually believe, kind of, sort of, NASA's bullshit. There's something going to happen, something out there, something, and I'm not talking Nibiru, I'm talking something. And at some point in time, in some foreseeable future, that it's going to be something that's going to be public knowledge, because you can't hide something of this magnitude. Therefore, you need to spin doctor it before it happens. So you set in motion certain things. So you set in motion people like Stitcher, who then comes out with the whole Nibiru thing. Oh, it's Nibiru, blah, 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 and this is the planet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yep.
But, okay, so with all the conversations we've had about the false history and the insertion of time and all that whole period of Sumeria and where the text came from and the interpretations and all, that's all in question.
It's all in
that
question.
That whole Sumerian period.
It's all in question now. So add that as another dot that you connect up, right? You get told about this period of time. This is a history from a period of time so long ago. No one speaks this language anymore. No one can read these symbols anymore. It's just for a very few people. Well, then you can make up any story you want, basically.
Yep.
You can create yourself a Rosetta Stone and say, look, I've deciphered this language. So anyways, we have seen certain meanings get planted in. We've watched Hollywood has planted how many movies that have been, so things like Armageddon, the big asteroids coming, and you have certain the alien themes that play out, your Independence Day, your V, your all these different movies. They're like a setup, right? Is that what it is? Is it like the setup? So you prepare so that all of a sudden when the sky does start looking kind of freakishly weird, and you have things that look an awful lot like a second glowing sun in the sky. So there's already a prepared storyline that people can jump on. And then everyone go, oh, Nibiru's coming, because Sitchin sold us so, or whatever. Yeah, predictive programming. Terry Cole, you could be absolutely right. Movies are predictive programming so that we create it by agreeing and believing. But
hang on. You and I aren't hearing anything, but apparently the rest of the people in the room are hearing some weird audio overlay.
What?
Alien, I can't hear a thing. I can hear when Dee talks, it's a bit echoey.
Really?
But that's all.
And you're glitching out because of your internet occasionally, like you'll get little blank spots. Okay, hold on, guys. Give me a second. Hold. I'm not using a headset, so let me see if this helps with the situation. I may fuck around for a second. Just give me a moment. Let me turn down.
My lips don't move with my words. Yeah, that's probably because of the quality of my internet at the moment.
Can't hear you. You got to wait till I put the headset in before you talk. Okay. Shoot. Tell me. Say something.
Yeah. Apparently my lips and words aren't.
No, that's what I mean. There's slight delays on your side. Like you're kind of a little, your flicker rate is at only about 10 per second. So.
Okay.
Okay.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys out there, can you hear me now?
Yeah, everyone can hear you. But you're obviously not to absorb the sound.
My headset sucks, apparently. Something digital as an underlay. Oh, a very faint digital sound underneath us. Oh, lovely. Great. Okay. So if the ETs are listening to the show and recording, you'd probably be able to upload it to YouTube faster for both of us. So if you could just do that while I go to bed after the show, that'd be tops. It doesn't, you might as well ask, right? Yeah, I mean, this is one of those, I can only do it with one ear set. It's driving me nuts with two. This is one of those pieces, right? Gotta use the other one. That's the one with the microphone.
Yes, please.
Yes, the microphone sitting on my lap, because that would be really helpful. So this is the thing, like we know what we see. We know that the sky doesn't look right. We know that the stars are not in the right fucking places anymore. We know that the moon is not acting proper. We know the sun is now rising and setting in the wrong fucking place. Okay, Lotus, stop that. I know, I thought of that as well. So just enough. Don't go there. We know the sun, it's all over the place. We know what we see. So therefore, if you have this piece of programming that's been dropped into the matrix, i.e. Nibiru, it's very easy for people to all of a sudden go, oh my God, look, there's a second sun. That must be Nibiru. Or it must be, insert meme here. But we can't deny what we see with our own eyes. And we all know the sky does not look like it used to. We all know the sky does not look like it did when we were kids. I remember looking up at the sky and the vastness of the stars was so incredibly vast. And now I look up at the sky and the stars look like they're literally, again, right overhead.
Hey, if I happen to drop off, bring Ben out, because I have a feeling he wants to have a rant anyway. But in terms of what we were saying about the whole history thing, I'm sure he can add to that as well, from a different angle. But the question of what they're trying to distract us from, I believe they know what's coming, what's happening and what is coming. And they are throwing so many different versions and theories and whatever at us to keep us scrambling for how to figure it out. But also because they don't know how they're going to play it as it unfolds. Mm-hmm. Right? There is something, just watching the people like Hillary glitching out, right? We're seeing a lot of people glitching out, even in our personal lives.
Yes.
Right? It's like all this in our personal lives made public, or our fantasized personal lives made public.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
There's something, whatever's going on about when it comes to programs, whatever, even the talk, another subject that came up was the whole sacred geometry thing. And I've had this feeling for ages that sacred geometry is like the building blocks of this matrix in some way. It's like the very building blocks, the very frequency or whatever it is that keeps this thing together has changed. And those who can't change with it
are breaking down.
Are just literally glitching. They're breaking down. It's like avatars who are just have the button pushed and it's
self-destruct, self-destruct, self-destruct.
Bizarre what we're seeing. And everything is changing from our environment, nature, and someone made the comment in that thread that even nature itself looks tired and worn out and like done with this. And what's going on?
I just said the self-destruct thing and Tom just posted it in, danger, Will Robinson. And I was like, oh, fuck, that was it. Get out of my head, Tom, because it was exactly what was going through my head at that moment. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Everything's changing. The very frequency, and maybe it's all of it. It's frequency, it's magnetism, it's electromagnetism.
And those are all frequencies.
They're all frequencies. It's the sound. Sound plays a part in this too.
Yeah.
All of it's changing. All of
Was that it?
But if you can't ride it, if you can't integrate it, and I think we're all kind of having our good days and our bad days, but
yeah, you can say that again. Well, it's funny you brought up sound because I went looking. Again, I'm literally, Lisa's watched me in action when I go on a research bender, and it's just one little thing pops up for me, and that's it. I go down the rabbit hole instantly. So Malta, where I am, temples. Some of what are considered to be the oldest temples on the planet are in Malta. The one temple is really, really interesting. It is an underground temple called the Hypogeum, which is closed. I just discovered it's been closed down again all of a sudden for conservation work, which made me go, really? Again, they're closing it down? So I was reading a couple of articles about the Hypogeum. So you get past all the government, the mainstream bullshit, start digging deep into it. And they start talking about some of the things. And I posted the link to this one article in Unfuckers a couple of days ago because it was kind of interesting. Because it gets into what did they find in the Hypogeum? Oh, they found elongated skulls. Big elongated skulls. They found 7 of them. All 7 of them disappeared out of the museum in 1983. And the only records left are the handwritten records by the archaeologists who were studying the skulls back then. There's no pictures, apparently. There's no nothing. They just vanished, found in this thing. So one of the rooms in the Hypogeum, because the Hypogeum temple is on 3 different levels underground. One room they call the Oracle Room, is what it's been called, is a natural amplifier. And apparently, when you go in and you start toning, it amplifies, especially in the lower tones, over 100 times amplification. That they say this room has the greatest natural acoustics on the planet. It is perfect. And there's a lot of people that say, was it accidental? They just accidentally built this domed room that just has perfect acoustics? Or obviously, was it planned? And we go back to things, frequency and sound. And I sat there and went, oh, several acoustical rooms, and it's closed down now. They've locked it off. No one can go in to go see it.
This is kind of on topic, but off topic, back to where we were in terms of people glitching out in frequencies.
Yep.
Someone just reminded me, there was a story, and I never got to see it or look into it because of my internet situation, but I'm hoping you guys did. Apparently, 5 family members in Australia, he just completely lost the plot.
I didn't read the story. I saw the headline go by, but I didn't actually see the story. So I don't know what happened. All I saw was...
I have no idea. Did anybody else? Someone must have seen, looked
The
into
father
that
is
story.
missing.
What happened?
I don't know what happened. Can you guys, someone type us in the quick short form of what happened?
But a couple of the 3 people, I just lost the plot. And they took off all went psycho. So, I mean, is there a did they kill people or what did they do?
Paranoid schizo,
No.
no, they left the house with no ID. They just disappeared out of the house. Mother and daughter are still in the site.
Mother,
Running from someone, drove north.
so they said someone was after them.
They were found
They were all-
separately.
Dad was off wandering.
And the father's still missing.
Father's still missing. There was a cell tower right next to the house. That was one of my questions.
Yeah, that was one of the first things someone said. Do you notice there was a big cell tower right next to it? They got hit with voice to skull. Dad was found. Oh, okay. One daughter was found in a stranger's car. One daughter stole the car and took her brothers back to the house. Well, this is it. This comes back to the whole thing, like I said, about the reindeer all of a sudden dying from the lightning. Was it a test? I don't know. I don't like.
So when a perfectly normal family of 5.
Who's that who just spoke up and said hello? Is that Ben?
It was just me. Yeah.
That'd be Ben.
So yeah, apparently what's happened is they all went bonkers. The news report that a YouTuber put up had photos of their house and stuff, and I found, like you just said, it was quite interesting because right next to the house was one of those big antennas lease that's down at the play school down here in Nimbin.
Yeah.
They drove from Melbourne to northern New South Wales. The mother got out around here, around Nimbin area-ish, and was found. One of the daughters was also found wandering. And then the other daughter, one of the daughters and the brother got found and picked up on a car back to Melbourne. Another daughter was found cowering in a random person's car. None of them have any recollection of what's going on. The daughter and the mother have been committed thus far. The other son and daughter are in hospital under observation, but I haven't heard any updates on the dad. But on that, I had a girl totally black out in front of me in the cafe and have 2 mini seizures for no reason. We had to call the ambulance, and it was really, 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 really weird. So it seems
Did you get a chance to talk to her? Had she ever had a history of epilepsy or?
not that she could recall, no. But in saying that, they had smoked the joint that morning without eating.
This is people glitching out.
What sort of joint? I mean, like hardcore. Well, there's 2 obvious things that come to mind. One is that it is a weapon, or it's more organic in that things are changing, everything's changing, and people aren't being able to go with the flow. But when it's targeted like that, it's odd. I mean, was this family's house the only house near this tower?
That was going to be one of my questions. Was there anyone else around them affected?
Ben, where'd you go? He's gone. Oh, no.
Just muted. Well, I haven't really even been able to find, because the YouTube video that I watched of it, I couldn't really find any, like it said that it's being reported all over Australia and in news and stuff. And I haven't actually found any like major news
Coverage?
things on it. Coverage, yeah. I haven't seen any major coverage on it.
Well, we know how easy they can make news coverage just disappear.
This is true, but it only sort of came up, as far as I know, like yesterday, maybe the day before.
I would
And,
have 2 days ago was when I think I saw it. 2 or 3 days ago, maybe.
I'll have a quick look and see what I can find. But it's like it doesn't seem to be only a couple of cases. There's quite a few people that are, like you say, wigging out.
Interesting. Interesting. Like I said, we've watched politicians losing their shit. I mean, public people. Lisa, are you there or have you just dropped? I don't know. We may have finally lost Lisa. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we've watched public people, politicians, etc., just lose their shit and just say really, really ridiculous stuff. Hillary Clinton is like the prime example of you talk about something glitching out at the moment. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. It's a really good question. Now, I wanted to say, I need it. Yeah, Hillary is the glitch bitch. Oh, yeah, did I say that? I'm sorry. Yeah. Which president was it who called Obama a son of a bitch? Was that yesterday? I mean, and this is some of the stuff that's going on. So the G20 meeting is in China right now. So you have China obviously snubbing Obama. They don't send the proper rolling stairs with like the red carpet on it for him to get out of the Air Force One. He's got to take an emergency exit staircase out of the plane. Then there's a huge kerfuffle with the press line right there and Condoleezza Rice. And then when they get to the hotel, there's another big, huge argument between like officials from the Chinese government versus the Secret Service. I mean, it's just been kind of insane. And then, yeah, a president, I missed who it was, basically called Obama a son of a bitch yesterday. And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, this is the insanity of it, right? Politically right now, the stuff going on in the States, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, but my heart goes out to all my American friends right now. I am so glad I'm nowhere near North America, because the political stuff going on in the States right now is so clinically insane that it boggles my mind. Like, it just literally completely boggles my mind that people aren't, I don't know. Yeah, exactly, Maria. You can't make this shit up. The shit with Trump, some of the stuff that Trump has said recently, the shit. And I also actually think that they're using Trump right now, that they've created, I guess, kind of almost like created their own meme. We've created this character, like this Donald Trump character, who is running for president, who has said some of the most outrageous crap imaginable, like build a wall to stop the Mexicans from getting in, crap like this, going to force all the Muslim people to wear identifying tags and just crazy stuff. But then he comes out and says other stuff that we, all of us, know is actually absolutely true. Absolutely true. And it's like they're using him as a way of like putting all this stuff out in the public without actually saying it, because no one will believe it because it came from Trump. So like Trump, what was the latest one? He just did something just recently. What was the one he just said? The stock market is all a scam, like it's all fake. Everything in the stock market is fake, which we all know is true. The stock market is a complete bullshit. But if you have Trump say it becomes almost like a conspiracy theory. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, oh, well, that was it. Trump said that, so it's got to be like right out there because he's going to build a wall between Canada and the U.S., He's going to build a wall to keep Arabs from flying in? Holy crap. See, I do pay attention to the geopolitical stuff because it's really pure comedy gold to me. Like some of the stuff that goes on is just, yeah, Trump is, Jerry just said it, Trump is disclosure under the guise of crazy. And I honestly think it's exactly what they're using him for. He comes out, you know, I always talk about, and I've said for eons now, they have to give us notice. Everything they do, they have to give us notice, but the rules don't say how they have to give notice. So therefore, notice is planted in stuff. Notice is planted in a Wikipedia article. It's planted in comedy. It's planted in movies. It's planted in all these things. So then, yeah, Trump, under the guise of hidden in complete lunacy, is disclosure coming out, the things that he's saying. But no one's going to listen because, but they can say, oh no, look, presidential nominee, he said it. Just crazy. Terry Cole said, Trump said about a year before he entered the race that he would do everything in his power to make sure Hillary is president. Yeah, well, guess what? Welcome to ridiculousness. I don't know. This is the whole thing. And it's not just in the States. In England, in the UK, you've got the whole Theresa May stuff, the Brexit stuff, which they're still pounding as a drum. You've got, now you've got, there you go. One of my favorite news stories of this week, I'm just going to try to say France, is talking about Marine Le Pen, who is the leader of the opposition party, or one of the opposition parties in France, saying that if they get voted in, the first thing they're going to do is call for a French referendum to leave the EU and ban the burkini, because you know that's on par with each other as far as political platforms go. And that they're going to, and you've got not just them, this is happening in Spain, it's happening in Italy, it's happening all over frickin' Europe, all talking about leaving the EU, which again, it's going to happen because the EU is crumbling. It's falling to pieces, but they got to make a big stage play out of it. So in France this week, the vice president, I'm not sure if I'm making the terminology right because their political structure kind of screws with my head. The vice president of one of the opposition parties in France just got arrested this week for masturbating in a store in front of children. So again, we talk about people losing their freaking shit and doing stuff. I shit you not. You cannot make this shit up. Vice president of one of the opposition parties, official opposition parties in France, was arrested this week for masturbating in a store in front of children. Can't make it up. So, yeah, but the Brexit thing, so Brexit was a piece of, and because the EU is crumbling, exactly, but Brexit was just an excuse. You have to have one. They played the whole Greece thing. They played that. Now you've got England playing this. And, Dawn, just don't start with me. Wait, hold on, we've got someone with a camera on. Nope, there it's off. So, we have all these things playing out. We have all the opposition parties pretty much across Europe are talking about how they're going to leave. We have Spain is about to have their third national election in a year because they cannot form a government. They can't form a government. Like Podemos and has formed, which is the equivalent of his name's going right out of my head. The Greek party that ended up winning the election. Podemos is Spain's answer to them. They formed an alliance, and they've now got the seats. Not enough to overpower, but they have enough seats to block anything from happening. So they're going to go to another third election in 1 year. The same thing happened in Portugal. The same thing happened in Turkey, but you have Erdogan in Turkey who just, stages his own coup so that, he can make sure he's got the government put in place how he wants to. It is complete insanity. Australian politics. When I was in Australia, the crap that was coming out in Australia. Oh my God. Things that were being said by people who were already elected officials. Insane. Now see, I want to get on to another topic, but I need Lisa to be here because this is one of those ones that she would appreciate. I've just realized we're at 99 people. I hope Lisa can get back in. Guys, give me just a quick second. I got to make sure I don't have Lisa. She's not back online yet. Come on, Lisa, come back online. Because I have a topic that I absolutely want to get into. I don't know, maybe I'll have to just jump down the rabbit hole anyway. The first thing I want to talk about on this one, okay, I've lost Zoom. Where'd Zoom go? There we go. Yeah, we're at 100 people. Yeah, I think we've got a max at 100 people, which means Lisa may not be able to get in. I need... Hold on, I'm just going to fiddle with my Zoom here. I'm really sorry, guys. Just give me a second. I've got to make sure that I can see my Skype screen in the background, or my Facebook, I guess. Just make sure Lisa's not messaging me saying, I can't get in. Where's Lisa? Sorry, guys. Just give me a quick moment. I got to find Lisa here and make sure she can get back in. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump into this and we'll just have to do the fill-in thing for Lisa. So I put out an article today, which I wasn't planning on because I've got another big Mandela effect one that I'm in the midst of trying to put together. And that was my plan today. I was going to get it done today and it didn't happen because I fell down another rabbit hole. Go figure. About trust law. And Philippe in the Unfuckers Room posted a brilliant article today that basically explains how we got to where we are with, for example, the Vatican owning everything, perceivably by their rules, they own everything, including the land, our souls, everything. And I put an article out on RTS today that outlines some of this information. Now, there was a couple of pieces in that. Now, it's really, really interesting, and I really suggest everyone take a moment because especially people who are maybe new to all this and they don't understand the birth certificate, the strawman stuff, it can be kind of over your head when you first kind of enter into this, this level of fuck-uppery. This gives you a really good basic rundown of basically how it got to be where we are now. And it talks about the 3 crowns. It talks about the Papal Bull of 1302, 1303, 1302. Hold on. I'm going to have to find it now and pull it up. Oh, look, I don't have it up. Great. Here we go. Okay, so the first one, okay, is the first one was done by Pope Boniface. The Papal Bull is called the Unum Sanctum. It was signed in 1302. Is the very first trust. And this is really important. Now, the article that when I get into the article, I opened it up with talking about the fact of trust law. And Ben is, I don't know if Ben is still with us. Ben will be able to give us a good idea on this one too. This is one of the things that we've talked about is trust law is everything.
I am still here, just so you know.
Thank you, sweetie. Common law, which of course is the big thing that's being pushed by all the sovereign movements, the patriot movements, the free man movements, are really pushing this common law or return to common law. And it's a major distraction. It's nothing but a massive distraction because common law, as set out in the Magna Carta, yeah, it's not for you and I. And everyone, for example, back in June of 2015, June 15th of 2015 was the big 600th year anniversary, something like that, of Magna Carta. And there was all these mainstream media articles, and there was a lot, of course, the alternative media talking about common law and talking about, oh, because, you know, the free man that's talked about in Magna Carta and the rules of law for the free man, and they're trying to make that into common law is for the common people, the people of the world, or in this case, in the States. The everyday person accepts that. In the time of Magna Carta, the free men weren't the commoners. The free men that are talked about in Magna Carta were the barons. The barons and the really rich merchants and the really rich bankers who had bought their freedom. Therefore, they were free men. Willoughby, can you turn off your camera, hon? So, hold on, there we go. The entire Magna Carta, the entire premise of common law is not for anyone except the barons and the bankers and the rich merchants who had already bought their freedom. So right off the hop, basically, it chucks everything that can. Lisa can't get in. Okay, guys, I hate to do this to you. We need someone to leave the room because Lisa can't get back in. We have a 100-person limit. Okay, someone, Jeff, tell her that someone's just left. 2 people have just left, so she can get in if she gets in right now. Unfortunately, apparently, we're going to have to go back up again. Now that we're back to the flip time to our original time schedule, so it looks like we're going to have to go up to the 200 room limit instead of the 100 room limit. So I opened up the whole article talking about this.
Sorry, I couldn't get back into the room. It's full.
I was trying to watch on Skype and on Facebook to see if I could get a message from you saying, I can't get in. So it's okay. Someone, I don't know who it was who left, someone very generously left so that the host could get back in again.
Thank you.
Lisa, I think next week we're going to have to go up to our 200-person limit again because,
I need some.
Okay. We'll have to figure out finances on it. We'll figure it out. Somehow we'll figure it out. Anyways, I'm talking about the article that I wrote. Just give you the quick Cole's notes. Trust law versus common law. Common law is a piece of crap. It's a distraction because the free man that is written in the Magna Carta has nothing to do with us. It's the barons and the bankers and the merchants. But the article I wrote last night, or today, deals with the origins of trust law. The very, very beginning, the very first trust and the birth certificates and how we all got fucking roped into this bullshit.
Is this the Constantine stuff?
Well, no. I mean, that's one of the things I want to talk to Ben a little bit more about that because Ben and I have been kind of going back and forth on Facebook on this all day today. Because so I don't know this piece about the Constantine that he was going to fill me in. Ben, are you there?
Yep.
Okay. Can you give us just the Cole's Notes version?
Yeah. So basically, so the papal bull that you're talking about, which is the first express trust, which is Unum Sanctum, is based off a letter that the church apparently found from Constantine, granting the church, the Roman Catholic Church, which of course he put in place or gave the power from the Roman Empire to, granting them all the known world, which was at that time the Roman Empire. So that papal bull, that papal decree is based off of that. But I think it was even in the 1400s, so only sort of 80 years after that papal bull became in force, they researched the letter and found that it was fraud, that Constantine never wrote it. So
it's
basically...
It's been outed as a fraud like 3 or 4 times over the...
Yeah. Totally.
So the letter that was based on to give him the power to claim this was a fraud. So here, this goes back to, because when I posted the thing on Fucker's room, everyone was like, oh, I don't consent, and no, he has no power over me, blah, blah, blah. You're absolutely right. I'm not saying that the Pope has the power over you or that the Pope owns the world, but that's how they've written it in. The trusts have been set up under that premise. Therefore, all the laws have been built around that premise. It's all fraud, of course, but that is...
Okay, so hang on. Back up. So the Church, or the Vatican, claims that it has a letter from Constantine giving them the right to create these papal bulls, putting us all under their control and creating a birth certificate system. Even if that was true.
Yeah.
What? No?
Not quite. Basically, he just gave them everything that the Roman Empire had.
Yes.
Okay, so where did the Roman Empire get it in the first place to give it to them?
Well, this is the whole thing, right?
Exactly.
So it was done all by conquest. And then once the church came into place, it was done through religion. Which was still through conquest.
Which is still through conquest, because isn't that exactly what the Jesuits did? Go across the world and conquer the peoples, and all of South America, North America, Africa, turn it all into Christian lands.
Oh, I was going to say something that would so get me in trouble, but okay.
What?
I won't.
Oh, being naughty.
Now, just to throw some spanner in there, remember I said the world, not the earth. And they say the world, not the earth.
Okay. Yeah.
So then in Christianity and Gregorian time frames, you have Anno Domini, AD.
Yeah.
Which is in the year of our Lord.
Uh-huh.
Now, in Hebrew, they have AM, Anno Mundi, our world, the year of our world.
Oh, wait, okay.
So the world being this construct that they've overlaid.
Yeah, well, I crack up because in the Torah or in the Hebrew religions, I think it's something around 5,773 AM. That's the year they're in now. And we're in 2016 AD, our Lord. So they had a world at some point, and they deposited the world into a trust. I believe that the world is the construct that is overlaid over the earth.
Exactly.
So the world is the ley lines. I mean, the longitude, latitude. The ley lines are the earth.
Talked about this.
We talked about this. Oh, but not only that. Okay. I need to jump forward here. Ben, bear with me a second, because I'm going to get really, really ragged here, and it's going to take me a second to kind of pull this all together. In the article that I posted today, all the information I already knew. It was a really great rundown when you kind of almost like doing a nice short form review. You go, yeah. But there was one little piece that I didn't know. And it was talking about the second crown. Okay? And the second crown is the crown of Aragon.
Yeah, we did speak of this.
Okay? The crown of Aragon, England gave back to Spain in 1975.
Now,
the year that Juan Carlos was crowned King of Spain.
Who got given the crown in England, D?
I don't know.
King James.
Okay, so therein is the tie. Now you're gonna have to follow me on this, because this is where I get really, really convoluted, and I got to try and pull all the pieces together. Because my brain literally, as soon as I heard that King Juan Carlos of Spain, now had the crown of Aragon back. We're just like, holy fuck. So, going on the premise, follow me with this. The House of Windsor, which is the House of Elizabeth II, right, is a completely fraudulent house. They have, literally, they're pretty much lowborn, the whole bit. They do not have any stake to the claim or the crown of England.
The House of Windsor is completely made up.
Exactly. It is like bullshit, okay? So, the whole thing came out, Charles, when he marries Diana, Lady Diana Spencer. Her father is the 8th Earl of Spencer. At the time, and I can remember as a kid, I was a kid, I was like, I don't know, 14, 15, 16 years old when the wedding happened. And the report saying that the House of Spencer has far more royal ties, far more blue blood, pardon me, than the House of Windsor ever had and could ever have. And the fact that Diana actually gives a sort of legitimacy to the throne because she actually comes from the royal lines. She actually has the blood, the blue blood, so to speak. Blue blood. So I start looking. Now, one of the biggest scandals is, of course, the fact that Charles is not William's father. Now, Ben, I know you follow some of this stuff. Who is Prince William's father? Real father, biological father? No. Chris, that's Harry's father. James Hewitt is Harry's father. Juan Carlos, King of Spain, is William's father.
There is a resemblance too.
Oh, it's not a resemblance. You look at pictures. I've seen a set of pictures of them at the various ages. You cannot possibly say that he is not Juan Carlos's son. So England gives the King of Spain back. Pardon me, pardon me. I had a bad tickle in my throat. Gives the King of Spain when he is crowned king, the crown of Aragon back, which is the papal bull that the second crown sits upon, second trust, which ties in the birth certificates. Juan Carlos, King Carlos of Spain, fathers William. William is going to be the next king of England. Charles will never take the throne because he is married to a divorced woman. There's no way he would be accepted by all the decree stuff. Won't happen. It's a given. William will be made when Elizabeth is dead, and I think she already is dead. They will crown William as King of England, whose mother is a Spencer, whose father has the crown of Aragon, who is the King of Spain. Okay? So I go looking. Hey, Ben, do you want to know who the Earl of Spencer is related to? Where his bloodline comes through? I'll give you 3 guesses. You're only going to need 1.
Okay.
Royal House of Stuart.
Yeah.
Through Henry VIII as well. Double bloodline through King Henry VIII. And the House of Stuart, which is considered to be the last of the true monarch bloodlines. So you have Spencer from the Stuarts, from Henry VIII. Oh, Henry VIII is the 3rd crown. That is how they got basically control of the birth certificates and the baptismal certificates, is through the 3rd crown that was signed over because of Henry VIII, and it was a deal that was with the church.
Are you saying that they've managed to bring, are you saying that through this interbreeding and fathering of whatever, that they've managed to bring the 3 crowns back together onto the one person?
That's what it kind of looks like to me, Lise. That was my brain exploded today and went, okay, we had exactly almost a year ago. We had a conversation. We had a whole show talking about the fact doors are fucking open. The prison doors are open. The contracts are all void and null. Yes, and Philippe only has daughters, exactly. Exactly. And that's Felipe is now the king of Spain because Juan Carlos abdicated the throne to his son. And only has daughters. Exactly. So here's the thing. I've just you guys have just sidetracked me. I've lost what I was just going to say. When you look at it, we talked about it a year ago. The doors are open. If, as we hypothesize in the big what if those contracts are all void and null, and it goes into that whole conversation that we had about the OPPT filings, it goes into all the shit about the Shemitah, the Jubilee Shemitah year, in which the slaves are set free, all debts are forgiven. What happened right after that? It was almost within a month after that we discovered that the Lord's Prayer had been changed to say, forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. King James, the last Catholic king who was given the privilege of writing the King James Bible by the Pope. It is the Bible, regardless of what anyone wants to say, it is the Bible that every Bible right now is based on, which is why we're seeing all the changes of the Mandela effect shit there first.
Okay, so can you get to a final point? Because you're kind of losing me,
okay,
for one, and you may be losing.
I'm really sorry, guys. And this is what I said. This is so fucking scattered because this is like, I almost wanted to go back and rewatch the show that we did because we talked about the Shemitah year. We talked about the prison doors being open and they're only going to be open for probably a certain amount of time before they try and close the doors again and sign up all new contracts. And what are they going to do to get us to sign into new contracts? I hypothesized today when I read this stuff that Elizabeth is going to die before the end of this year. William will be crowned king. And they will use that somehow to redo the contracts, or are going to try and use that to
bring this back again.
Sin.
Bring this back again to, we do have an organic earth with ley lines, with men and women, flesh and blood.
Living in body?
Then we've got this overlay, living in body. Then we've got the overlay, which they call the world, with longitude and latitude as the grid. When we talk about common law, we're talking about it as part of the overlay, right? So in the overlay, people like Lotus might have an argument that, yes, it does apply to us in some way, shape or form, but not in the real organic earth.
Exactly.
So then we need to make a distinction between...
Exactly.
Sorry?
It's a tool.
It's a tool. Say that again, Ben.
Yeah. Tool. It's a tool. Common law.
Yeah.
It's a tool, but it's not something that we should be claiming as a standing point or jurisdiction that we want to be under.
No.
Because to do so, we're still playing in the matrix. We're still playing in the overlay.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, like you were saying, you got man, woman, earth, divine beings, sentient beings. Common law, you have, it's common, like you say, Lisa. If you're in a room and there's 60 people in it and 50 people smoke, the other 10 have to smoke under common law.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
that's what it comes down to.
The easiest way that I put it is just common law, you could equate to mob rule. It's the majority rule.
It is majority rules, exactly. But again, common law still does not go to us. Common law is the barons and the freemen, the ones who have freed themselves, i.e. the rich bankers, the rich merchants, etc. They're the free men who get this free ride through mob rules. So they can make their own rules up and have their free ride. But again, all make believe.
Yep.
And someone also mentioned, like in regards to, I'm just trying to keep track of everything that's going on in the chat room as well. You know, all these, the King James Version, all the stuff keeps relating back to the same time period where we are been hypothesising that all of this was made up. The last, say, 300 years, that they all literally sat down and created all of this stuff. It hasn't been around that long. And they wrote and created an entire backstory for it to give it legitimacy. But if all these crowns fall on William, there's plenty of talk that he's the Antichrist as well. That might actually make him so.
And I didn't even get a chance to look, but apparently Kate Middleton's, his wife's lineage is very much like Diana's. She's like, right. I mean, so yeah, I mean, this is, we're going to need an after party to discuss this. Holly, I'm sorry, it's already 1:45 in the morning for me, so I won't be attending the after party. Just saying. The after party, though, you know, tomorrow morning we can talk. I'm putting this out there. This is, like I said, this was me talking off the cuff because of the shit that we've seen. Now, the interesting bit is we brought in the whole Jewish calendar thing, and you brought that up. Now, some interesting shit has just happened in the last 2 weeks. Number one, the Sanhedrin, which is like the Jewish, I guess it would be their equivalent of the Vatican for the Jewish religion. The Sanhedrin has just appointed a high priest for the first time in like hundreds of years. And the article,
what's that mean?
Well, the articles were really, really freaking interesting because the articles that came out of Israel talked about the fact of, they've now got a priest and they can hold the sacrifices so that if something should change and they should have access to the Temple Mount, within a week they could be all ready to go to do their proper sacrifices on the Temple Mount.
Okay, now am I connecting dots where they don't belong? But we've got multiple countries in Europe and Northern Europe or in the Netherlands putting out information from the government to the people, to the population, to be prepared to there's something coming and to prepare food and water and all this shit for like at least 10 days.
Germany?
And we've got the Jewish...
Germany, Finland, Norway, and Czechoslovakia all have made official announcements to their public to be prepared to have food and water and things like that on hand. And a former advisor to the Prime Minister of England made the exact same statement August 24th as well. Now, his whole thing was that to do with falling markets. Financial markets are so bad, everyone should be prepared and have food and water on hand. That was.
But at the same time, Israel is preparing for something to change.
Yep.
For the first time in 2,000 years.
Yep.
That would allow them to take control of the Mount.
And it gets better. And I'll post, someone put together a video that really kind of pulls all this information together quite nicely, and I'll post the video. Well, it's got a whole religious, ignore the whole religious theme to the video, but the information is there. In September of this year, starting, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, there's supposed to be a meeting between the three heads of the three monotheistic religions.
Here comes that one word, religion.
In Jerusalem, and there's supposed to be a special thing being held on the Mount where they're going to build, they have built, or they're going to build a throw together building where all the Jews and the Muslims and the Christians can all come together to discuss and to pray together. But this building is being built on the Temple Mount which of course has led a whole lot of people going, is this the construction of the third temple? Because then you get into biblical prophecy, et cetera, about the time when the temple is raised, et cetera, et cetera. And so, of course, you've got a lot of Christian factions who are now going, what the hell is going on? But again, timing. All this shit comes out again. We're now in the same thing. It's September. September is the end of the fiscal year for the United States. As of September 20th, they got to have all these budget and all this insanity. We always get this kind of a lead up into September. Same thing last year with September. We had the United Nations. We had the Pope talking at the United Nations. We had the bomb threats. We had all of this crap going on. So here we are again, a year later. And again, isn't it the end of the Jubilee year? Yes. Isn't it the end of the Jubilee year this September?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay, and the end of the year of, what is it, the Vatican proclaimed it the Jubilee of Mercy? Is that it? This year's?
Oh, no, isn't it the year of Pulse as well?
Sorry, say again.
It's the year of Pulse as well, the year of Pulse.
The year of Pulse. And it was like I said, I can't remember what the Vatican, I've forgotten what the Jubilee, Francis claimed that this last year has been the Jubilee of Mercy, which ends at the end of this year. It ends sometime before Christmas this year. I don't know. It just seems like they're putting a whole lot of effort into trying to make something happen. All right, guys, don't think that for a second that I fall for this.
Maurice, absolutely. He said this whole discussion is looking only at the plans of the controllers and their bosses.
Exactly.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
We're not talking about what we think is going to happen. No. We're talking only about the plans that it looks as if they are trying to put into motion. It's like,
and they're putting them into motion because things are organically changing, and the stuff that we were talking about earlier that they're not controlling. That's what I think. And this is all the scramble. This is all a mad dash in order to try and reset things for themselves.
Manic.
I think it's working.
No, I don't think it's working for them very well at all. Look at Hillary Clinton. I rest my case. Yeah, this is a conversation pointing out what we suspect or hypothesize their plans could be, what they are trying to achieve. It's not a, hey, this is what we think is going to happen. Everyone scream and shout and throw yourself about.
No.
Having said that,
this is just observing what they are playing, what they're fucking with, and what they're trying to pull off.
Exactly. Having said that, I put out again my Being Prepared article, which is an article I put together back in like 2012, which is all about, if you will, prepping. Yes, I am an old school prepper. Have been for years. And there's a real conundrum going on at the moment that I see. In fact, there's a lot of people who are looking at stuff that's going on and looking at a lot of the prepping kind of stuff. Like, for example, the government's all of a sudden saying you should have food and water on hand, et cetera, et cetera. And they're in this mindset of, well, I'm not going to create that. I'm not going to create that. I'm not going to put my energy over there because I'm not going to create that reality to happen. And I absolutely get that, 100%. But the problem is to deny what is happening also is foolish to myself. To me, when I look at this,
I completely disagree with you.
No. Louisiana's flooded. They've been out of their homes for 3 weeks. You don't know when the next one's going to hit.
All right. I'll go back into that thread.
I get it.
Thread. It talked about, I mean, you and I have talked about this, earth splitting, timeline splitting, all this sort of stuff.
Yep.
Whichever one you focus, if we are in the process it's a big if, but if we are in a process right now where realities are literally splitting, shifting, whatever the hell is going on.
Yep.
We are the creators. We'll end up where we focus. And
Right.
I think we get to a point where we can't sit on the fence. And that is, to me, sitting on the fence. It's like,
I disagree.
I'm aiming for this one, but I'm preparing for this one. I think it's choice time.
I'm sorry, I disagree, because I had friends in New Orleans. I have friends in Louisiana. I have friends in Japan. Who are all of a lot of areas. Friends in Italy, who had family members who were killed during the earthquakes. And in places like small little towns in Italy, they tend to do better in surviving these kinds of incidences because they're a little closer to the land. Farmers are still out there. People still kind of know that they can reach out to their neighbors and they can get help, et cetera, et cetera. In Louisiana, Hurricane Katrina, et cetera, we saw what happened.
Yeah, but it's the flip side of that. I'm going to hit you the flip side again. The flip side of that. How many people live in Louisiana who weren't there when it happened? They were away for the weekend. They were away for work.
Right.
How many people were on a flight on 9/11 that didn't make the flight? How many people were, so it's like
okay, but
everyone's, how many people we know have got a close call story where they just weren't there, where they should have been there, but they weren't there at the time something went down.
Absolutely, but that doesn't say, for example, one of the big things I talk about are, where are your important papers? Your photo albums, your family treasure, and you're out of the house.
Yeah, that's just stuff.
Yeah, but it's not stuff to everyone. Maybe it's stuff to you, but it's not stuff to everyone. For me, I'm sorry, you can be prepared for emergencies and not pay energy into that fear,
I don't think you can.
etc. Oh, absolutely. I'm prepared. I went out and I bought rice and I bought water and I've got a few things. And not only, I actually live in a country where, again, it's a self-sufficient country where I can still go to the farmer and get tomatoes right off the field if I have to. I'm not feeding it. I don't feed that fear even a little bit because I don't think anything's going to happen. But I'm prepared. And it was always the joke. It's always been the joke with a lot of friends that I know who are the type of people who like to be prepared on these things. Is the fact that they know that they're going to end up having to support half their neighborhood. So instead of just having 1 week's worth of food on hand, they've got a month's worth of food on hand because they just know that half their family is going to show up on their doorstep because their family all know that they're prepared.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I disagree. I'm so sorry.
No, I don't. We're just going to have to call it on this one that we agree to disagree because I don't think you can be prepared. Let's say you've got your stockpile and you're prepared. Somewhere in the back of your consciousness, whether you're feeding it or not, it's in there. You know you're prepared.
Okay, then I'm going to throw something at you.
Yeah.
The whole "we are the creators" is a theory.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, it's a theory. It's absolutely a theory. We have no proof.
All of us have proof in their daily lives.
We all, I feel strongly that we are, but the reality of it is, we have no proof. It's a theory.
Well, define proof.
Abject facts. Lay it out on the ground. Here's the facts.
Well, I can give you facts that I did this and this happened. And these, I mean, is that considered facts or do we need a NASA paper?
No. I'm not talking about that kind of, I'm talking about literally, it's a theory. So for me, I can go, I know there's earthquakes happening. I know there's floods happening. I know there's tornadoes happening.
Yep.
That's a fact. For me, I'm not willing to bet the farm, so to speak, that I'm right. And what my belief is, that I will always be prepared and be able to manifest what I want to manifest I'm not willing to bet the farm on that because it's a theory. It's one I strongly believe in. It's one that I live daily, but I'm not willing to.
Okay. Well, maybe that's the difference. Maybe that's the difference. I don't feel it's a theory that I believe in. I feel it deep that I know it. I know that I have the ability to create.
Yeah.
There are times when I feel like I'm out of that flow or I'm not in tune with that capacity, but that it's there. And when I am in tune with it, holy shit.
Yep, absolutely. I totally agree.
That's funny. You and I haven't had a polarized opposite. Agree to disagree.
It's been probably a year.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't go there because if it's there, if whatever's part of my consciousness, and I think I talked about this on a collective imagination show ages ago too, that we don't know what we don't know, for one.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't know what we're feeding.
Yeah,
and we don't know until we're triggered often. Something can come up that triggers you that makes you realize that, holy shit, I am actually feeding that without even being, it's not part of our consciousness. It's not being aware of, but it's in the body even. It's almost visceral that you're feeding something without being conscious of it.
That's where I disagree in the fact of, for example, when I opened the conversation, and you had no internet, so you probably missed most of it. When I posted the Be Prepared article, I talked about different things. And one of the things I talked about was, for example, food. And I talked about dehydrating. And I said, dehydrators are the greatest thing since sliced bread. Because, fuck the preparation, the prepping type stuff. When you have dehydrated food, and I gave my whole recipe of how I dehydrate carrots, and then I pulverize them in a coffee grinder, and a pound of carrots dehydrated equals out to 2 tablespoons of powder that you can then put in anything. And if you have a picky kid who's a picky eater, you can hide that shit in everything. In soup.
Does it have some nutritional value by the time you've done all that?
Fuck yeah. Oh yeah, it's got huge nutritional value. If you dehydrate it properly, it has all the nutritional value, minus the fiber, obviously. It doesn't have as much fiber, but it has massive nutritional value. And I was like, throw it in your smoothies. And that's what I did. I mean, I had when we left Canada, I had probably a month's food in storage. It was dehydrated. I had proper buckets that had dehydrated food. And you know what? We had soup. And I was like, spaghetti sauce. I'll add a pound of carrots to the spaghetti sauce. I'll add a couple of stalks of broccoli.
Okay, so when it comes to this prepping thing, I don't go, I know that I could, and it may gross people out, but I know that if I had to, I could live on my own urine.
Yeah.
I know that.
Right, absolutely. But would Phoenix?
The need to.
But would Phoenix?
Stock up on food. Yeah, absolutely. If
really?
it was that, I'll starve to death.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This is what I'm saying.
She's been brought up with it, so she's
and that's a different situation because she's been brought up on it, right? For me, for example, our financial system, my entire life, our finances has been like this, right? And there have been so many times I've lost count of how many times you got to the end of the week and you had another week to go before payday, and it was like, we got no money left, so I guess we're dipping into the prepping food. And you pull out the bags of pasta, and you pull out the rice, and you pull out the dehydrated food. It was there. And for me, it was a way of life in the fact of I was prepared for anything, i.e. not natural disasters, not war, famine, nuclear fallout.
But again, prepared for not being able to make it to the end of the week. So what happens?
I know, but it doesn't matter.
Make it to the end of the week.
And there were awesome times when I manifested money at a thin fucking air. Seriously manifested. It used to drive Nick nuts when I could do it all the time. The check would just happen to show up. you know, the day before rent, things like that, all the time. But it didn't always happen that way.
Well, guys,
we have to agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, I know. And we're going to have to leave it at that because we've reached our limit. And
crap, we are. Exactly. It's all done. Hold on. There was one other thing. I can't remember what it was.
There's no difference, Terry, as far as I can see.
Sorry, say again, love?
Terry said, what's the difference in saving food for later or others putting money in the bank or investing in a business? It's all the same thing.
No, not necessarily. Putting money in the bank is foolish. I'm sorry. Put it under your mattress.
See you guys next week. Not sure what time.
It will be Monday.
It'll be Monday evening, Tuesday morning.
Probably the same time.
Yes, 7 a.m. Hello.
Sorry, Chick. It's 1 o'clock in the morning here. This is the latest. This is the latest I have been up since I left Morocco. This is the latest I've been awake since I left Morocco.
Well, thank you, Maria. It'll look all right, considering it's, you know, sort of, I've been awake since 5:30. We'll see you guys next week. We'll try and get this up as quickly as possible and have an interesting week. I don't even feel like I need to say that because you will anyway.
You're not going to have a choice, apparently. And I wanted to talk about Mandela effect stuff because there's a whole pile of stuff, but you know we're out of time. So I'm putting together an article and a bunch of other stuff. I'll get to it. I've really tried for 3 days to get it done, and it's just not coming together quite yet.
All right. I will talk to you soon. I'll talk to you when I have internet.
Yay! 2 days. Everyone, 2 days. Lisa will have tomorrow. Lisa will have full-on internet tomorrow. Everyone say it after me. Lisa will have internet tomorrow.
Yes, please. Okay, bye for now.
Bye, guys.